computer. Okay. So we are recording now, and welcome. I'm so proud of all of you that you have chosen to make your career even that much more valuable, make yourself that much more valuable by adding the cancer specialist, by adding the functional aging specialist, by adding Tai Chi. If, like I said, you don't have any Tai Chi experience, that's okay. I will teach you everything you need to know. So not a problem, no worry about not knowing any Tai Chi. I wanted to take the first few minutes of just going through what the certification is all about. The certification is really very simple. It is all online. You don't have to go, you don't have to meet with me, you don't have to go anywhere. I do have the distinction option. If you want to add that distinction option, let me know. That gives you 2 Zoom sessions, one-on-one with me, one of them for education purposes and one of them to do a final exam. That distinction does give you a distinction certification, which just may give your clients, your personnel, whatever, your people that are hiring you, a little bit more confidence that someone has actually looked at you and approved your Tai Chi. The very first module of the certification is really just reading and looking at a couple videos, but read that background information. It'll just give you some supporting information about Tai Chi. So that is important. It helps you understand it, helps you start to think about the underlying principles, which are really key to understanding Tai Chi. That's what makes this certification so much different than just learning from a DVD. It's, yes, we're learning from videos, we're using our technology, that's awesome, but we're also, the way that I teach you is you're not just learning the movements to the form, you're actually learning the underlying principles, and that's what really drives the benefits of Tai Chi. So the first few modules, the very first one is the reading, and then you're going to get into learning those individual movements. And it will feel a little bit random, but don't give up on it. It's not random. There's a purpose behind it. You're going to learn the individual movements. Then in the next section, you're going to learn how to put those movements into the sequence of the form. I teach you the Yang style 24 short form, and the difference, well, let me go back. There are 4 or 5 different styles of Tai Chi depending on who you talk to. I teach the Yang style. The Yang style long form is 108 moves, which you have the opportunity to learn if you join that video membership that I'll talk about later. But the long form has 108 moves. When the Chinese families would pass down the long form to their children, they would change just something in it to make it their family's form. So there are many different variations of the long form. When the communist government took over, they took 24 pieces of that long form and standardized it into the 24 short form. That's what I teach because it's shorter. It's less intimidating to people. And because 90% of the time, if you see people in a park doing Tai Chi, they're going to be doing the short form. It is a competition form. I don't teach it as, let me say this a different way. I don't teach it for perfection's sake. I don't teach it so that you can go out and perform it. I want you to learn it so that you're getting the benefits of it. And that's what I want you to be teaching to your students as well, is you're teaching Tai Chi not because it's Tai Chi. You're teaching it because you want them to get the many, many, many benefits of Tai Chi. That's really what's important, is we want to give our clients the best opportunity to be as balanced as possible, to be able to deal with stress, to be able to help their bodies be as limber and as flexible as they can be. And these are the things that Tai Chi is going to give them. So first module is reading, then you're going to learn the individual movements, then you learn the sequence of the form. That's the first two sections of the certification. The last section of that certification is really where you learn to apply those underlying principles, and we're going to go through some of those today. Those modules teach you how to teach. So it's not, like I said, it's not just learning movements. I want you to be able to learn how to teach and how to apply the underlying principles. In that last section, I also give you 24 class plans completely done for you so that you don't have to figure out how to set up classes, which is the next thing that I wanted to talk to you about. And don't worry, we are going to stand up and move, but I want to go through some of this basic stuff first. The way I set up how to teach is the way that I learned, well, the way that I struggled as I was first starting to figure it out. You know, as fitness professionals, what do we do when we have a brand new program? We make it an 8-week section and we advertise it as 8 weeks and people sign up, and all that does is it encourages people to quit at 8 weeks. That they think that they're done. If they take this 8-week learning session, they think they're done at 8 weeks. So I was very frustrated with that, in that people wouldn't continue. And I was also frustrated with how very different people learn, the different rates at which people learn. Not that I was really frustrated with it, but frustrated that my 8-week session didn't allow for different kinds of learning styles. It didn't allow for people who really didn't get it to really get it. So I changed up what I did. And obviously we're in a totally different environment now, post shutdown and having to deal with COVID. But think of this in terms of, this is kind of an ideal situation. I started beginning classes, and the beginning classes, they learn the individual movements, and they can just rotate through and stay in that beginning class for as long as they need to. So I made those beginning classes 4 different classes, and one week I would teach class number 1, the next week I would teach class number 2, the next week I would teach class number 3, then class number 4, then I would go back to class number 1. And those beginning students could stay in that cycle for as long as they needed to, which allowed those fast learners to jump out of that circle when they needed to, and it allowed those people that weren't quite so confident, it allowed them to stay in a beginning class. It also allowed for new people to be injected into the system at any point, because those 4 classes don't build on one another. You're not learning the form, you're just learning the individual movements. So it allowed for, if a new person wanted to start and we're on class number 2, totally fine, because it was just the individual movements. So that allowed for an influx of people at any time in the system. They didn't have to wait for a new 8-week session to start. And you know that when somebody wants to start something, they want to start it now. They don't want to have to wait 8 more weeks. So that beginning group would stay with just what they wanted, how long they wanted to stay in there. Then I had what I call a regular class. And I own my own studio, so I can set this up this way. I had a regular class where once they graduated from the beginning class, they moved into the regular class. And that's where they learned the flow of the form, and they learned to apply the underlying principles. And they can stay in that regular class forever. I have had people for over 10 years be learning, and yes, just learning the Yang style 24 short form. They don't get bored with it. They're always learning something new because there is so much to learn in Tai Chi. I often get the question, once I learn those 24 movements, I'm done, right? I'm like, no, you're not. Because you're at the very surface level. Once you learn those 24 movements and you learn to memorize the sequence, now you start to get deeper and deeper and deeper by applying those underlying principles. And that's what keeps people going. So I have certified instructors all over the world. Those of you that have joined the Facebook group, that's awesome. You'll see that it's a very dynamic group. Please join the Facebook group because you will get good ideas from that group. One of those advantages of joining that Facebook group is you have the opportunity to talk with people who, like Christina Bouchard, she does not own her own studio. She works out of a smaller studio. She's in Maine. And she did not have the ability, she didn't have the flexibility to have a beginning class and then a regular class. So she had to create her own flow of how she was going to incorporate new people. And the way she did that is she created the first 15 minutes of a class is beginning movements. And then like the next 15 minutes of a class, they're learning the flow of the form. And then the last 15 minutes of a class, they're learning those underlying principles and doing the whole form. So a beginner could come for the first 30 minutes, and then if they wanted to stay and watch the advanced people, that's awesome, or they could leave. So she created her own flow like that, that by being part of the Facebook group, she's encouraged other people that are working out of like a YMCA or working out of another gym. They've been able to adopt her flow. So as instructors, and we all know this as fitness professionals, sometimes we feel like we're an island. And this Facebook group makes sure that we're not an island in our Tai Chi world. We are helping each other as instructors. And that brings me to another point of once you learn the Open the Door to Tai Chi system, you are free to create your own class plans. You're free to use whatever you want. You don't have to do things exactly the way I do them. And that's part of that Facebook group as well, is there are questions. We give you support in getting classes started. We give you support in how to deal with problems, but it's really your program. So you don't have to worry about, being cookie cutter. That's not what we are. The other thing is you don't have to just build a class with Tai Chi. Yes, that's an ideal situation. And in our world today, like I used to have 12 to 15 people in a class in my studio. I now have to limit it to 4 people at a time. But I still have classes. If some of you are in more temperate climates, you might be able to have classes outside. I know one of my instructors in California, she's doing classes on tennis courts. But you can also apply these principles to your personal training clients, to whatever other kinds of training that you do. I've done that in my own personal training where somebody that's not taking Tai Chi from me, but I'll tell them about their columns, I'll tell them about their weight shift, and all of a sudden they become more balanced. So you can absolutely use what you're learning in this certification and apply it to other kinds of training. So let me see if I can get that chat box up. Nobody's asked any questions yet. That's okay. Oh, yep. You're uncertain, Nikki. You said you're uncertain as to where you actually log into the course. Yeah, no, the course is actually, you should have received an email from Celia from FAI. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. There. You should have received an email from FAI that gives you login information. You actually log into the Tai Chi course through that FAI education site. So if you haven't gotten that email, let me know. We'll get Celia to get you another email, another login information. So it's through FAI education. It's not through the SETI, the cancer site at all. Okay. Let me see if there's any other questions. Okay. Good. So, yes. So what we're going to do now is, you can see I'm in kind of a corner of my studio in the room that I actually teach Tai Chi in, but this is just one little corner of that room. In the certification, we do all of our filming from behind, facing towards a mirror, so that you can see what I'm doing with my hands, so that when I say step left, I'm stepping left with you. You're stepping with me. So it's actually very critical, and it'll help you learn a whole lot better, as opposed to a video where you're looking at the person and they say step right and they're stepping this direction, right? It's so hard to watch. So if you have the opportunity right now, let's take a few minutes and let's stand up, and I'm going to teach you just a little bit of the form. And so I'm going to step up to the mirror. Let me see if I can see where I'm at. Okay. So this is the way we would film. Now, obviously, this camera that we're using right now is my computer camera, and it's not a high quality camera. We filmed the certification with a much higher quality camera, so don't worry about that. But at least it'll give you a flavor of what we do. So the first thing that I want you to do is just step side to side. It's just nice and easy, very simple. And if you're a person that's doing this, I understand, but you need to slow yourself down, because I want you to think about, understand there's 3 columns, one straight down the center of your body, one through each shoulder, through each hip. And as you step, you're going to bring all the weight over onto one column, and then you're going to bring all the weight onto the other column. And I want you to physically slow down so that you feel that transfer. Because now, as you step over to this right side, now you see, is if I have my back to you, it makes more sense. My right side here, your left side should be empty. So I want you to try to lift. And then bring your weight over to the left side and lift that right side. So step, let that weight come all the way over and lift. Then stepping over to the side, bring your weight over to the left and lift that right leg. Good. Now you're going to add a kick to this. Weight's on the right. You're going to lift that empty left leg and kick forward. The height of the kick makes no difference. The fact that you're balanced is what we want to accomplish. I have people in my class that this is as high as they can kick. Their foot's actually on the ground. That's okay. Eventually, they start to be able to kick this high, and then they're able to kick this high. So you don't want to have to encourage people to say that's a kick. That's not the point. Bring your weight over to the left. Lift that right leg and kick. Good. Stepping over to the right. Lift and kick. One more. Bring the weight over to the left. Lift and kick. Good. So now bring your left foot forward. Bring your right foot kind of behind you. Not a big long stance. I don't want you to be like this. Just a natural step out. I also don't want you to be too narrow. Make sure you have some space between your legs. Bring your hands just to about the level of below your belly button. In Tai Chi, the dantian is 2 inches in from the belly button, 2 inches down. The center of your energy. It's also the center of your balance. So bring your weight back to your right leg by bending that right knee just slightly. Then bend that left knee slightly and let your hands float up and out. Then bring your hands back. Then up and out as you come forward. Bring it back. And one more. Now I'm going to turn to the side so you can see that I'm not moving a lot. My weight's back here, and as I come forward, my weight is only this far forward. I'm not pushing forward like this. And this is part of training your clients' balance, their weight shift, and keeping their columns intact. This is all very important to help them be more balanced. Because we all know clients that they're walking like this, right? They're falling forward. Their focus is the ground, and that's where they're going to end up, right? In Tai Chi, we teach them to keep those columns intact. We teach them to keep their eyes on the horizon, and we teach them to feel that weight and know exactly where their weight is at any point. This move is called pushing chi. And it's a very simple move, but it's also a very important one. Now I'm going to face forward again. I want you to bring your right foot forward this time. We're going to do pushing chi again. Take a nice deep breath in as your weight is back. Then breathe out as you push forward. Breathe in as you come back. Breathe out as you come forward. Breathe in as you come back. Breathing out. And breathing in. One more. So the breathing in Tai Chi is actually a really high level concept. It's not something that you get to in the beginning classes because people are too worried about where are my hands, where are my feet, what am I doing, and they can't layer on the idea of breathing on top of that. I like to teach it right away with pushing chi because it is so easy, and it is part of that driving that relaxation response that you're going to get with Tai Chi. But don't get frustrated that you don't learn the breathing right away, especially if you've done yoga before. Don't feel like you're never going to get to the breathing with Tai Chi. You will get there, but it just takes a little bit longer to be able to incorporate the breathing. And I'm going to step back up to the mirror, and we're going to learn a movement called wave hands like clouds. So I want you to take your right hand and draw a clockwise circle with your hand. Now, instead of just moving from our arms, what I want you to do is now start moving from that dantian, 2 inches in from the belly button, 2 inches down, okay? Think about moving from here, and you're gonna rotate on that central column. So now, the shoulder can become much more relaxed, the arm can become much more relaxed. Now bring that right hand down, take your left hand and draw a counterclockwise circle. Good, now bring that hand down. You're going to put them together now. Taking that right hand clockwise, as it comes down, the left comes across. And this is wave hands like clouds. And you can see now, as I'm moving my body, I'm actually just letting my rotation bring my arms across my body. And then on the side, I let my hands gently switch. It's as if I have a big ball right in front of me. Now with wave hands like clouds, you actually learn how to step sideways. But we haven't even learned how to step forward yet. We're going to learn a basic movement. It's called chi walking. And if you're a fast-moving kind of person, chi walking is going to really drive you nuts. But if you can learn to slow down and learn to add the principles of substantial and insubstantial, which we'll talk about, of keeping your eyes on the horizon, of keeping those columns intact, moving from the dantian, you're really going to start to notice how you move differently in life, and you're going to be much more balanced. So before I do my chi walking, let me get a drink of water here. And I'm going to go to the side this time instead of moving towards the mirror. So bring your left foot forward. Bring a little bit of weight onto that left. Rock back. Open yourself up by turning from the dantian. Not a lot, just about almost 45 degrees. Now bring all the weight onto this left leg and step straight forward with the right. Rock forward a little bit, rock back. Now turning from the dantian, bring that weight onto the right and step straight forward with the left. So yes, I am stepping heel to toe. It's as if I'm testing ice to see if it's going to support me. As I rock forward, I rock back. Now I believe it's going to support me. I'm going to let my weight come onto this right leg and step forward with the left. I'm going to step back here. Like I said, I'm in a little tiny corner in my studio. This is the concept of substantial and insubstantial. It's as if water is flowing from one leg into the next. So bringing that left foot forward, bring a little bit of weight on, rock back. Now the water's in the right. Let the water flow into the left and don't lift this left leg until it's completely empty. Now bring that right foot down, rock back. Now let the water flow from the left into the right and don't lift this left leg until it's completely empty. So as you learn to chi walk, like I said, if you're used to moving fast, this is going to drive you nuts for a while. But once you really understand what you're doing with chi walking, you'll figure out that it helps your overall movement incredibly. And Qi walking is a basic movement. It's the basis of a lot of the movements in the form. I have to tell you a story that when I first started learning Tai Chi, my instructor made me Qi walk for an hour at a time. That's all he let me do, is Qi walk. I got very good at it, but I vowed right then and there to never teach like that, because we don't have that kind of focus. We don't have that kind of time in our training sessions. And like I said, we're not teaching Tai Chi for perfection. We're teaching it to help people. So if they learn a little bit of Tai Chi one week or a little bit of Qi walking, and then they learn a little bit more, and they learn a little bit more, that's okay. They don't have to learn it all at one time before moving on to the next thing. That's an old way of teaching. That's an old way of approaching Tai Chi, is that you have to perfect one movement before you can learn the next. And that's not how the Open the Door to Tai Chi system works. We want to encourage people to continue so that they continue to understand those benefits and gain those benefits, but we don't want them to be frustrated. And let's see if there's a question or a comment. Let me see what this is. Oh, that's all right, Kathy. Bye. We'll see you. Kathy had to leave. I'm okay with that. So now I want to teach you one more movement called brush knee. And it does actually incorporate that Qi walking. So let me come back up to the mirror. And brush knee, you're going to bring your weight to your right. You're going to bring your hands over to your right hip as if you're holding a ball right here. You're going to step forward with the left, brush this left hand across, and the right hand comes out in front. So come back, bring your weight to the right, step out with the left, brush the left hand across, and the right hand comes out. Good. So brush knee, from a martial arts perspective, is really easy to see what you're doing, right? If you're blocking something low and you're hitting something at the same time, right? In real life, it's very fast, but in Tai Chi, it's not. It's very slow. We have what we call delicate lady's wrist in Tai Chi. Neither a male nor a female thing. It has to do with flow of energy. And we want our energy to always be flowing, so we need to have our joints, all of our joints, loose. So this is part of that brush knee, is our hands are very soft. Our elbows are nice and soft. If I come to the side like this, you can see this roundness in my arm. I'm not doing a stiff arm. Brush knee is like this. And how it incorporates Qi walking is like this. Bring your weight over to the right, holding that ball to the right. Step forward with the left. Brush that left hand across low and the right hand comes out. Then you're going to rock back, just like you did with your Qi walking. Take hold of that ball, step forward with the right, and brush knee. Now you rock back. You can see that rocking back and turning that we did with our Qi walking. And now you can start to understand why Qi walking is so important. As we move, and we move gently, we stay within our columns, we are stable. So this is part of the benefit of Tai Chi that you're giving to your clients, is you're allowing them to be more stable in their movement. So let's see, Kelly, do your feet stay flat on the ground during the weight shift, or can you lift the toes and the heels? So good question, Kelly. There's a concept that we talk about called being rooted and grounded. Rooted and grounded means that you are in contact with the ground. You lower your center of gravity, but your feet are not glued to the ground. So as I'm moving forward, I'm moving heel to toe, yes, but I'm not lifting that back heel. If I lift that back heel, now I'm off balance, right? I have broken my columns. This is not a good position to be in. So here, I have my brush knee. Then as I rock back, I'm going to lift that front toe slightly. Then as I bring my weight up onto that right, yes, that back leg becomes empty. It has to be lifted. But then I step down and I keep myself rooted and grounded. So you learn that your feet have to be very fluid in your movement. Yes, they're part of feeling the ground. You need that to be stable, but they also have to be very fluid. One of the questions that I usually get when talking about feet is what shoes people are wearing. And that becomes an interesting point of when people start in Tai Chi, I want them to be comfortable. And people are very tied to their shoes. So I tell them, wear whatever shoes you want to be comfortable in. I don't mind. But as you progress in your Tai Chi, you're going to need to have shoes that allow your feet to pivot. So regular athletic shoes are very clunky, they're very big, they're very sticky. And I don't want people's knees to get torqued because they've tried to pivot and the shoe didn't pivot with them. So these are the shoes that I wear. They're Kung Fu shoes, Tai Chi shoes. They're slippers. You can tell there's no support in them whatsoever. The important part of this is the bottom, and it's not slippery, but it slides nicely. You can pivot nicely in these shoes. You can get these on Amazon. Just look up Kung Fu shoes. I can give you the link. But it's not I try not to make it a requirement, but as you get going, you do want to have something. Betty, does barefoot work? Yes, it works. If you're able to pivot, if you're on a surface that you can pivot, go right ahead and be barefoot. That's an awesome way to practice. It's an awesome way to really get some energy from the ground and be able to feel the ground. And Kelly, I want to go back to you said maybe smaller steps to help keep balance. Yes, absolutely. You don't want to overstride in Tai Chi. It's not a race to get to the end. And that is a problem with people is they try to step too long. And let me demonstrate that. Sorry. Pull it down. If someone is stepping too long, like with that brush knee, okay, they're gonna break their columns. They're gonna fall forward. They're not in control of their steps. So yes, you're actually controlling that step, keeping what I say within your columns as you step. So good question. Sorry, I have to keep moving the screen, but oh, Angie, you like those shoes, most comfortable shoes ever. Yes, they are. They are comfortable, except don't wear them outside, just wear them inside. Especially if you live in snow like I do. Which reminds me, thank you. Some of you guys did get back to me with where you are. I keep a list of where all of my instructors are, the city, the state, obviously the country if you're outside of the United States. Because I do get questions from the general public of, you know, I live in Houston, Texas. Is there an instructor in Houston? And I can write back and say, yes, I know several instructors in Houston. So absolutely give me where you are so that I can send people directly to you when I get those questions. That's actually a really big benefit of being a part of the Open the Door to Tai Chi system is I'm constantly trying to feed people out to you so that they can be learning from you. Part of my mission is to help you as instructors. Because I can't be in Houston to teach. I can't be in Pennsylvania to teach. I need you to reach those people. And that's why it's important for you to be learning Tai Chi, is so that you can bring these benefits to your community. One of the benefits that you're going to find is it's really outstanding for your executive functioning. As you're learning something new, clearly it's very confusing to the body. Your brain has to be building new neuromuscular connections. Then you have to memorize a flow of a form. Then you have to be adding on underlying principles, so you have to be multitasking. There's so much to do in Tai Chi that this is one of the benefits that you can give to your community as well, is it does help with executive functioning. Nikki, you're in Texas. I like that. Any other questions? You guys can put them in the chat. I don't want to take too much more time. I know that we have a little bit of time. I want to leave time for questions. And we are going to do this one more time, which I hope before we meet the next time, which is in 2 weeks, on the 30th, I hope that you've had a chance to look through some of those beginning modules. I know you're doing you're doing a cancer certification, you're doing the functional aging, but try to at least look at these modules and see if you can, if you have questions as you start to learn, because that's part of what this Zoom session is about, is to be able to ask me questions, to be able to say, I didn't understand this or I didn't understand that. So, make sure that you look at it. That's also one of the benefits of being part of the Facebook group, is you can ask me questions on that Facebook group as well. Can we take the live stream classes on your website? So Dolores, I do Tai Chi Live every Friday, well, almost every Friday. We take off every once in a while. But yes, those live stream classes are available. I will send out those links every week. That all of those classes are also on the video membership site, which is at taichisystem.com. It's singular, taichisystem.com. And I encourage you to look at that taichisystem.com. On the left-hand side of the very first page, it says Learn Tai Chi Online. That's our video membership. It's only $14.95 a month. It has a ton more education on it. And when I say education, I really do mean you learn the long form. You can learn, I have instructor videos on there that give you additional class plans. So once you get started, it gives you more ideas of how to teach. It helps you understand how to do modifications. The modifications are not in the certification. They're on that video membership site. That membership also becomes your recertification, because I believe that any kind of continuing education that you get should apply towards the certification that you're getting, or that you're working towards, or that you're trying to renew. There's so much education on that video membership site that I do not require any additional CECs to recertify. All you have to do is keep that membership going so that I know that you're continuing to learn more about Tai Chi as I'm teaching and as I'm adding videos to that site. So that becomes your recertification. You do not have to track CECs. You don't have to do anything. Once your certificate expires, we put an expiration date on it of 2 years. All you have to do is send me an email, and if you're a part of that membership, I just send you out a new certification, because I feel so strongly that this education on this membership site is plenty for you to continue to teach Tai Chi to your community. So go to taichisystem.com and look at that video membership site. And Tom, how is this form different from Chen Man Qing's Yang style short form? Chen Man Qing is the 38 form. It adds some Chen style to the Yang style. There's some harder kicks in it. Like I said, there are there's 4 or 5 different styles of Tai Chi. If you go out and you look at the forms that there are for Tai Chi, it's incredible. There's a 42 form, there's a 48 form, there's a 38 form, there's a 108 form, there's an 88 form, there's the 24 form. There's all different forms. On our video membership site, I have created some different forms that you can be teaching to your students. Some of them are easier to learn, they're shorter. There's a modified 8 form, a simplified 8 form that you might like to begin teaching if you have students that are that are less mobile. I teach you that on that video membership site. So there are many different styles, many different forms. Sometimes those forms combine different styles together, just like I said. Sometimes the Chen style is the original style of Tai Chi. That was the very first one. The Yang comes from the Chen. Then came the Wu or the Hao. There's a Wu Hao. And then the Sun style is the youngest. So if you look at some of Dr. Lam's videos, he's from Australia. He does a lot of the Sun style, but he'll also combine Yang and Sun together in some of his work. So there's no one style that's going to be magic. That's part of my belief as a martial artist, is I believe you should be well-rounded and understand a lot of different things. But when you get started, it is easier to get started with one style and then branch out. So, learn the Yang style 24, know that it's going to be a little bit different than the Chen style, than the Chen Man Qing short form, okay? Any other questions? Nothing, huh? Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed learning just a little bit of Tai Chi. Like I said, we did a little bit of movement. You learned a little bit of Chi walking. If you can practice your Chi walking, that would be great. And if you can, before we meet again, look at some of those modules in the certification so that I'll know if you have any questions. If you don't have the link to joining the Facebook group, please send me an email. Like I said, that Facebook group is valuable. There's tons of support, tons of information. And, thank you, Angie. I'm very excited to have you guys all on board. Like I said, my mission is to bring Tai Chi to the everyday person. I want you guys as instructors to be out there and bringing Tai Chi to your community so that your community can get all the benefits. So with that, if you have any questions that come up after we leave here, feel free to email me. I'm really okay with that. I like to talk to you guys. So send me emails, talk to me on the Facebook group, and I hope that you have a great afternoon. We'll see you later.